My name is Jeff Bradford, and I sold everything that I owned to travel around the world to tell stories about brewers, winemakers, and distillers.
What do you think people's first impression of you is?
Ooh, yeah, it's funny. I always, when I meet new people, the first thing they say without me opening my mouth is, hey, are you a tattoo artist? Or, hey, UFC fighter, when's your next match, right? So it's funny when I go to breweries, wineries, and distilleries. We knock on the door. Hey, Jeff Bradford, beer, wine, and spirits, and they look at me and go, "Okay, where's the rest of the crew?" It's just me and a videographer, and then they look at me up and down. They see me in a trucker hat, a rock shirt, tattoos, and I'll never forget the marketing team on a lot of these breweries, wineries, and distilleries go, "Are you sure you're gonna make those videos look like the ones that I saw on YouTube?" So if you can imagine, I'm like, yes, please trust me, I will do that. So, and I think on social media, I think the first impressions, like I always get on messages and stuff, is you have the coolest job in the world. So yeah, those are it. Those are typically it. Well, far extreme of the spectrum, right? So, but that's usually what I get on first impressions.
So let's talk about this. So you in your introduction said that you sold everything to travel the world and interview the makers of beers, wine, and spirits.
Yes, I do.
And then you just talked about having this YouTube channel where you put these videos.
Mm-hmm.
How did you get here?
Yeah, it's been wild. I served 20 years in the military, right? And I said I was closing the chapter on that, and I had to decide, what do I want to be when I grow up, right? I was like, man, what do I want to do? One thing I knew for sure is I didn't want to go work for anybody else. I didn't want to be a number 2, a number 10, of a company. If I was going to work, I was going to work for my dreams and not anybody else's dream. So I postured myself about a year from getting out of the military financially, and the constant of that was travel. I loved traveling. It's what brought me alive. So I said, okay, travel's a constant. I know I just can't travel and sit on a beach. I have to be active. I have to do something. And I wrote down a list of passions. I was like, okay, let me look back across my whole life. What am I passionate? What did I love to do? And that's what I was in search of for probably the first 4 or 5 months when I got out. And if you can imagine, beer, wine, and spirits was probably number 3 or number 4 on the list. The first one actually was audio guided tours. So if you can imagine, I'm in the city of Paris or Brussels, and I would create these tours and sell them to these audio guided apps. And one thing that I realized by doing that was it was fun, but I didn't feel that, like waking up the next day, like I wanted to do that more. I wanted to go out and actually do that. So I went down the next list, and finally, long story short, got to beer, wine, and spirits. And the reason why I wrote that down on my list is because you imagine I was in Italy, stationed in Italy as a young soldier, and I brought this bottle of wine, and there was a label on it. And when I tried it, I was like, wow, this is pretty awesome. And my curiosity set in. It was like, who makes it and how it's made? So you're thinking back in early, 2001, 2002, there's no, you don't have smartphones. So I literally would get on my motorcycle and find this place, ride a couple hundred miles, find the winemaker, tell him I loved his wine in my broken Italian, and said, hey, can you show me how this is made? I'm fascinated by this. And I found out that I was spending a lot of my time back then doing that on the weekends. I would try Amarone and Soave wines and all these different wines from Italy. And I'm thinking to myself, that's why that made the list, is because I was spending all the times. If you would ask me 5 years from now if I'd been doing a YouTube channel, beer, wine, and spirits, I'd been like, you're freaking crazy, right? But it was funny because I wrote that down because I noticed that I was spending a lot of my free time doing that early on in my career. And then I got stationed in Bamberg, Germany, the beer capital of the world, and I did the same thing. Tried this beer, looked at the label, on the bottle, and was like, who makes it? How it's made? And I searched and did that. So it's been such an interesting time, So I called a few breweries, and I started off blogging at first. I didn't even start. I was deathly afraid to be in front of a camera. I started blogging. The problem is when I come back, I'm not a good writer. I found that out. But I'd come back and sit down with my friends and say, dude, I just got done making beer with Chimay or Delirium, these big brands. And people were just like, man, you should capture that on video, and tell that story. And we would love to see that. And I'm like, no, I can't be in front of the camera. I'm scared, In the military, I shine away from cameras. And finally, one day I woke up and said, dude, if I don't do this, I'll regret this, 20, 30 years down the road, So I started doing it. And, fast forward, 80 episodes, here we are. I created a YouTube channel, and I try to bring people value and show how products are made. We see so many bottles on the shelf. I want to show people behind the scenes. I want to show how tequila's made. I want to show you and introduce you to those makers, those distillers, those winemakers, and share their story. Because again, what we're finding out with your channel is everybody has a story, and so I fell into. And after the first time, I loved it, and it was absolutely amazing. It was great, and here I am, 2.5 years later, still absolutely enjoying and loving what I'm doing. And I can't wait to wake up and do it again.
So incredible. I'm sure my cheeks look like yours. I'll smile. I know that people watching can't see, but I'm fascinated. And I think I mentioned to you before we started filming, but this common theme has resonated through a lot of these interviews, and it is this follow your dreams and fearless forward kind of theming. And it's so empowering, and I think it's so impactful to me, but I also hear that it's impactful to the people that are watching. But I have a question for you. Mm-hmm. Were you always this naturally curious, tinkering person, even as a child? Like, was this you when you were younger?
Yes, 100%. Look, I learned the hard way on many things. I was always curious. If I saw a cat, a stray cat, I would be like, oh, let me go up and pet it and see what it's all about. And ended up on the wrong end of a few things, right? By trying stuff out. Getting on a bigger bike when I was 4 years old because I saw a 7-year-old do it, right? And I was always curious about things. I was always fascinated about things. And I think more importantly, just learning about them. So, and yeah, it was, ever since looking back to my childhood, I was always like that, yeah.
What's something from your childhood that you can pick out and say, oh my gosh, I totally remember either tinkering with this, or there's this one moment that was like pivotal for me that I'll never forget?
Yeah, the first thing that pops up in my head was I was at my grandfather's house, and I would mow lawns so I'll never forget, like I started making money, actually pretty good money. I mean 9 years old, I'm mowing mowing yards like this, and I'll never forget, I didn't know how to work on lawnmowers, I just knew that, hey, I was making $5 a yard, and 5 turned into 10, 10 turned into 20, And I'll never forget going to my grandfather's. I was mowing the lawn, and I pushed the mower back in the garage. And my grandfather looked at me, brought me over as a young kid. He made me clean it, check the oil, check the spark plugs, and he says, you take care of your equipment, it'll take care of you. And that was something that I was absolutely amazing for me to learn, because now I do that with everything. I felt bad. Like my grandfather, I felt like I let him down, and he was giving me a hard, you never do that, you clean it, you wash it, you put it back in like it's brand new. And so I take that with everything that I do now, in life, across the board, whether it's maintenance, whether it's, everything. So yeah.
Value, yeah. That to
Great
me
way to put it, yeah.
Yeah. I have this conversation often. Everything has value. It's not about the actual price tag, if there is one on it. It's about what it means to you.
Yeah.
And what it signifies, or how you take care of it.
Yes, 100%. So that was a lesson that I learned early on, and I'm thankful for that.
Oh, and like you said, you're remembering it, and I'm sure, and you've said it, you take it and carry it forward.
100%.
And I'm the same. I had things came and went for me as a kid, meaning life was up and down, and you start to really value things. And again, it's not about the price tag of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's about, this is mine, and I want to take care of it to make sure it stays mine.
Yes.
And stays whole.
Yes. I agree.
So
I
I
agree.
love this.
Yeah.
Oh, that is amazing. What an incredible story. So tell me maybe something that you have during your show
Mm-hmm.
applied that theory to. What have you had to take care of to make sure that it takes care of you?
Well, first and foremost, the people that work with me, my team, I look at it and say, I ask a lot out of them, and so I take care of them 100%, because without them, I would be nothing. So that's the first and foremost. And then, I have to put myself in the consumer's shoes, of what I'm doing, and say, look, am I putting the best that I can put out, or am I just trying to scramble to get something put together and send it out? So no, I'm not. I'm sitting there and I'm saying, if it's gonna take 100 takes, if we don't get the shot, we're gonna get the shot, and I'm gonna put the best video that I possibly can out and give the most value combined with the story to the people that follow me. I owe that to them. So yeah, that'd be it.
I feel the same.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I know that our shows are very different.
Yeah, they are.
But at the same token, they're the same, which is what connected us, because you had posted about what you do and the stories that you hear. Mm-hmm. And I commented, you answered back, and here we are.
Yeah.
And I think that that's how this happens. And you have to value the people who are watching, which I'm sure you do greatly, just like you mentioned, I do too.
Yeah.
But you have to also value the people that you're speaking to and interviewing or doing your show on. Like, I value you, and I wanted to give you the best platform possible and make sure that when you share your story, it comes across the way you would want it to.
Yeah, look, I tell people, I've told amazing stories with big name brands when I couldn't give them the same value that they could give to me, right? If that makes sense. And the only reason why they said yes to me coming to film, who's this guy? This guy has 200 followers on YouTube. He doesn't have a following. Like, what is that company getting from me? And the only thing I can provide them is a damn good video. And that's why they said yes.
It's that passion and quality and value in what you're doing, and the belief in yourself, and that what you're doing is quality.
Yes.
I think that is so important.
That's the foundation. If you have those, sky's the limit.
Agreed. Yeah. I think believing in yourself is half the battle, right?
It really is. Oh, and we are our own worst critics. Look, we're going to have good days. We're going to have bad days. There was times where I was 10 months into this and I was thinking, I want to give up. Why? Nobody's watching this. Nobody's doing this. But to believe in myself and say, you know what? You can do this. You can make a difference. You can bring value. Is showing the success in it now. I look back and say, if I would have quit at month 10, I would have never known the success that I would have at month 11, 12, and here 2.5 years from now, and that was like you said, that was a belief in myself, right? And here I am now, I'm getting way more views, way more success than I was 10 months ago, and I just look back and say, God, Jeff, if you would have quit, you would have never met the people that you met. I would not be here today. And again, I want to see the growth, in that span of time. So yeah.
Well, I am glad you believed in yourself enough not to quit, because otherwise, you're right, we wouldn't be sitting and talking. So I am so grateful, and now I get to add another light in my life as someone that I know. So thank you.
Me too. So it's awesome.
So what is something that would surprise people to know about you?
Ooh, there's a lot. Look, if you were coming down the 210 freeway to come here, you would notice that I like old school rap, right? So I was jamming some old school rap on the 210 freeway. But I think one of the things, I'm in beer, wine, and spirits, right? So they think that. They know that I'm the Army guy if they dig a little deeper. But I do have a bachelor's of science in nutrition science. So initially I thought, like I was telling you about the list of things that I was passionate about. I'm passionate about nutrition. I'm passionate about what it does to you physically and mentally. It was a degree that I got when I was getting ready to get out of the Army. I thought for sure I was going to be a dietitian.
What is an episode or a specific beer, wine, or spirit that you ended up being most interested in but didn't think you were going to be?
Ooh, that's difficult because all of them, there's so many, I've been to all these different countries and cultures and customs that you learn from. And, I always learn something. But one that I didn't think was going to impact me as much as it did was the South Africa wine episode. And the reason why it impacted me so much is this winery could have got equipment and replaced all these workers. And a lot of these workers are coming from Ghana and up north, Kenya and so on, to find work down in South Africa. And it was so cool to see that winery say, you know what, we've got a social and an economic responsibility to these people, And so instead of buying equipment, which they could have, and they could have replaced it, probably cheaper, probably would have been a good business, plan and way forward for them. They kept these 80, 90 people, and because that's what they survive on for, the rest of the year. It's seasonal work, but they pay them really well. And I was talking to a 65-year-old grandma. She's working way faster than I was in the, harvesting these grapes. And of course, everybody's looking at me laughing because one, I'm so slow, and two, you don't see, you don't see a host with a video camera coming to work and work all day, and that's something that I pride myself on, is I don't just film in front of the camera. I'm there to learn first and foremost. And the 65-year-old woman is just running circles around me, and she's just like, Jeff, I love this. I asked her, I said, do you love what you're doing? She says, I absolutely love it. I respect the company, and I'm thankful for, taking care of me. She's been there for 10 years. So I think for me, when I was filming, I thought I was just going to come learn about winemaking, but what I got was more of an impact about humanity, and people's choices are not so much of a business side of things. They also care about the people, and like I said, the economical and the social responsibility for that. And that hit me, and it, to this day still I'm just still like, thank God, because business, as I'm learning from the military, business can be cruel, right? You got to read the fine print. People are just worried about those greenbacks that they get. But there are some really good people out there, and that was one of those awesome stories I was able to tell.
Where would we find your channel, and tell everybody what to look for before I ask you our final question of this amazing conversation?
Yeah, so if you go on YouTube, it's Beer, Wine, and Spirits. Made it easy for myself mostly, but made that title easy. You can go there. I would love to hear people's feedback and see how I'm doing. You can catch my day-to-day on Instagram with beer_wine_spirits, and I have a website that I've been working on and putting a bunch of stories on the last few weeks, which is jeffbeerwinespirits.com. Also on Facebook, Jeff Beer, Wine, and Spirits. So for LinkedIn, Jeff Bradford Beer, Wine, and Spirits. So yeah, I've pretty much got them all covered. So yeah, but I'd love to hear people's feedback from what I'm doing on YouTube with Beer, Wine, and Spirits. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I'm sure people will be checking that out. I know I'm on a couple of those. Now I gotta get to the rest. So last but not least, if there was something as you were traveling the globe and passing people by, and you could hold up a sign that would tell people one thing about Jeff, what would you want them to know?
Ooh, one thing. I would say, once you get clear on what you want in life and who you want to be, everything else will start to fall into place. If I could hold one sign up.